Your commentary is very good, by the way.
Thank you very much, John.
I enjoyed it.
Kind.
It was good.
I quite enjoy it.
I've watched the highlights back and yeah.
Are you on the highlights as well?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Score.
I'm chuffed about that. Yeah.
Cool.
It's very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Inferno episode 6.
What is that?
Welcome to Inferno. Well, I meant to say Inferno TV really, but anyway, it's still episode 6.
Yeah, it's episode 6, so that's good, right?
Yeah.
So we're not off to a shambolic start, just a bit confused. Anyway.
Are we on?
We're on.
Yeah. You
Turn
enjoy
the
your
camera
tea
on.
though, Alan.
See
At
the
least
red
you
light?
haven't got cake this
I'm
week.
gutted about that. I could
Okay.
have done with it this week
So,
because I haven't had tea.
Right.
I really think we should try and be serious though.
We should. We've had comments. We're not serious enough. So no cake, no Allied socks, and
So
I
we
won't be smiling.
So
No smiling
are
from
we
John.
changing the whole format of the show now?
pretty
then?
much, yeah. Because yeah. We're not.
Okay.
Don't smile. Stop
Sorry.
it. Right. Okay. So
It's rubbish, this hockey, isn't it?
Rubbish.
We must be very serious about it.
we must. Yes, it's a very serious and noble sport, played by warrior poets and gentlemen,
Indeed.
and we should respect them by being solemn when we talk about it.
Forsooth and hearken is all I have to
And
say
hearken, indeed.
at this time. And please, gentlemen, draw your swords.
So verily, shall we begin?
I think we should.
Yes,
At once.
by discussing
Engage, number 1.
engage. Excellent. Let's talk about. So we've had 3 games to talk about over the weekend. It's not going to work. We've got Belfast at home.
Yeah.
We've got the 2 Blaze games to talk about.
Yeah.
A little bit of chat about the Keith hit on Convoy.
What hit?
What hit exactly was it?
Clean as a whistle.
I Convoy.
I can't believe you got 4 games.
I can't believe Convoy didn't get something for jumping.
Shoulder. Yeah, he should have got something for connecting with the elbow.
Exactly. He could have really hurt Keith in
He
that
could.
sort of
And that's precious, that elbow,
elbowing
as we
area.
know.
Yeah. You know.
How do you do that? How do you render yourself unconscious? There must be some sort of
It's like there's like a
technique
switch.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a switch. You can sort of touch yourself on a certain point on your neck.
You
and
can?
Yeah, I've seen it on Star Trek.
Yeah.
The nerve pinch. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen it done.
Right. So first up, let's talk about it.
What's the mind meld then? Is that not?
No, that's the one where they share like thoughts.
What happened to the seriousness? What happened to it?
I thought you sacked that off.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, kind of. But
No. Let's go back to point number 1, I think.
back to point number 1, chaps.
Which is
Belfast, the Belfast game. Yeah.
that was cool.
Cardiff Belfast at home. We lost 2-1.
Was it the start of the resurgence?
I think. I think there's definite change in dynamic. Intensity on the ice was certainly a lot different, and the way that we played, we actually attacked with 2 guys a few times. I saw.
It did feel a lot like it was a different
And
team on the ice,
defended
which
with
is
more
good.
than 2
Yes.
as well.
Which is always nice. Yeah. So it was a loss. It wasn't a heavy loss. It was a narrow one. When you think of last time we played Belfast, they kind of spanked us a bit, which is
But I think it was, though, the feeling after the game, it was what we talked about for weeks before, and a lot of fans talk about, isn't it? Is that if you lose, but you play with heart and you seem to give everything on the ice,
leave it all out there.
people go away feeling pretty much like they do with a win.
Exactly.
And I think certainly that's what I felt like after the game. It felt it felt fine. It didn't really feel like a loss as such.
Nope.
It felt positive at least. I think Brent mentioned in the post-game interview as well, he was sort of suggesting that the players sort of seemed to have, I think he used this word, but it was kind of like a bit of pride, almost skating around with, high-fiving the fans, the kids on the boards and everything after the game. And
Well, they
all
had
that.
nothing to be ashamed of, did they?
Absolutely not, no.
I mean, there were probably for me, there were 3 key points in the game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think there was the penalty shot that Blight probably should have had.
Well, if the other one was to be given, then Blight.
They look remarkably similar on the highlights.
If anything,
from where I
the
was
one on
sitting,
Blight looks
they
clearer.
look
Yeah.
very similar. So that didn't get called.
No.
Fair enough. There was that. Was it then the Convoy hit, or was that before? I can't remember now exactly the order. But there was the Convoy hit.
No, I think the Convoy hit was the final thing in
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
final event,
those
wasn't
3.
And then there was obviously Belfast getting a penalty shot, which looked the same as the one that Blight didn't get to me.
And in fairness, we were starting to control the game.
We were.
Shot count was racking up in our favour.
Yeah.
We were doing a lot of things right. They weren't standing out on the ice for me. And we were certainly doing all the right. Matt Myers was having an absolute stormer.
Yeah.
Tyson was a rock at the back again. Dan was playing really well. In fairness, I mentioned a few names just because they're the ones that spring instantly to mind, but it was a big team performance.
Well, the line that was there, I mean, it changed again, didn't it, over the weekend because obviously Conboy,
enforced changes.
but the Conboy, Myers, and Beer Briar line, and then Lord went onto that line after, didn't he, coming back, and they were totally dominating the game at one point. The thing is, there was still a lot. There were still a lot of things to work on, like the passing and things like that. Still, wasn't crisp.
Perfect.
It was pretty messy, but there was more intensity on the forecheck. And also defensively, as a unit, we were far more organised.
Yeah.
We were actually sort of matching them defensively overall. I still thought they probably outchanced us, to be honest, over the course of the game. And Lacosta had to be good, but there was a lot more grit there in their own zone, a lot more determination, and a lot more organisation as well. And I think it sort of I think that even though there were sort of things wrong and through the game. I think that kind of turnaround in terms of attitude and all that sort of stuff, and organisation and doing the simple things that we talked about, that probably fed through then into the wins against the players on the weekend, which we'll come on to later.
Exactly, yeah.
I wasn't surprised with those 2 wins against Coventry after watching that Belfast, because it did really feel in the building like there was a corner being turned in that Belfast game, even though they lost.
Definitely.
Yeah, I thought the Keith Conboy incident was made a big change to that game.
It did.
Because at the point before that occurred, I was actually starting to think that we were starting to get a foothold in that game, and we could sneak it. Like Murphy,
Conboy was one of the people doing it, wasn't he? As well,
he was having a great game. And Murphy is an outstanding netminder. There's no doubt about that. He's won them lots of games over recent years, and I'm not in much doubt that he certainly contributed to the win there, because we had ample opportunities.
We did, yeah.
But he made a lot of good saves. With Keith, before we discuss the actual incident. For me, Keith has been one of those players that I would have liked to have seen on my team quite a lot over the last couple of seasons. At the last playoffs in April, he was my player of the tournament. Personally, I thought he put on a captain shift every time he was on the ice. Absolutely outstanding. He was completely shattered when it finished. He'd given everything, and that's all you can ask. But this season, there's an element crept into his game which I don't like, and I don't want to see professional players injuring other professionals, and injuring two fellow pros in a 2-month period for me is an issue. Keith and Lloyd are not particularly big guys in hockey terms. They both tend to lead with the elbow going into contact. Now, it's an issue that we've seen with our own Luke Piggott a bit recently. He's been called for elbows a few times, and he tends to sort of approach contact in a similar way. But Luke isn't injuring people. I think it's important that's mentioned. I think Luke's been trying to change that. Sometimes when you're a bit smaller, and you're worried about making contact with a big guy, maybe you're sticking your elbow up to give yourself a bit of protection. The problem is when you're going in at pace and you're leading with your elbow,
and sort of from the blind side as well.
And absolutely, there's a real chance of causing some really serious damage. The 2 reckless challenges by Keith in recent past, the one on Will, which was a bad hit, and this one on Conboy, and we saw the hit in the NHL last night. I think it was Scott, was it?
John Scott, yeah.
Yeah, which if you watch the 2 side by side, they're not dissimilar to look at. The contact on the chap in the NHL didn't knock him out, fortunately, but in the Conboy case, as we know, it did leave Conboy unconscious. I can confirm he definitely was unconscious, because my seat faces directly the point where Conboy was on the ice, and when the doctor was tending to him, and he came around and they sat him up, he didn't know where he was.
There's a couple of small differences though as well in the hit. In that I think that John Scott hit, as bad as it wasn't as from the blind side as the Keith hit. Keith has come almost from around the back of it and just gone from the side, whereas John Scott has come from a sort of side forward position.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting, of course, is John Scott is massively bigger than the guy he hit as well.
Yes.
Whereas it's the opposite situation with Keith and Conboy, isn't it? What is Keith? 5'10", so he's about my height. And Conboy, what is he? He's got 6'3" or something, is he, Conboy?
6'4", I think, Conboy.
So it's a long way up there to reach that upper chest sort of area.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit shorter than Conboy actually.
Okay.
I'm bigger than Conboy because I don't train enough. But but he's taller than me. I think it's when you watch the replay back you'll see that Keith Keith has got one leg off the floor. He's rising through the challenge. He's driving upwards through the challenge. it looks, to all intents and purposes, given the elbow's position through contact and specifically a second after contact, its position that the elbow is being used in contact. It's difficult to say exactly at what point on convoy the elbow strikes, but it does appear that the elbow is driven through. The elbow is very high 1 second after contact.
Well, the follow through was almost exaggerated, wasn't it? The way his elbow came through after. So I don't know. It just seems strange to me that if you were making a clean hit that didn't involve the elbow, why would your elbow extend quite as much as it did? I know there's a bit of momentum involved, but that was extreme, wasn't it? How high
shoulder to shoulder, your elbow wouldn't be moving.
That's what we're seeing. We're seeing blindside towards the head here.
Yeah.
Reckless. The Belfast fans aren't seeing that. They're seeing Conboy as an actor, which is crazy.
Ridiculous.
And then the league themselves aren't also calling it as a head hit. The league's come out and said it was shoulder to shoulder, or it was they haven't called head.
I think we miss out, unfortunately, here. We don't get the clarification like they do in the NHL, where they explain how they came across the decision. I find it difficult to work it out. Well, consistency. Did he get 3 games for the Will hit?
Yeah.
Which apparently was head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Will was out for a number of weeks, missed a number of games. Doesn't seem to work for me, really. 3 games for when the other guy's out and that team.
And it's likely that Conboy will be out at least as long as Keith's ban as well.
Well, we don't know.
We're not sure when.
But he's missed two games already, isn't he?
Yeah, we're hoping
2.5 effectively.
Yeah, we're hoping Conboy will be back for the Fife game potentially, but he may not be. We don't really know yet.
Yeah.
What we do know is he was being assessed day to day, but which is much the same as Will. When I spoke to Mike after the hit, he was being assessed day to day, and they were desperate to get back on the ice. But that's 2 guys who are pro hockey players who have been injured by the same player in a reckless manner, and whether he struck the head or he struck the upper chest, which caused what can cause a whiplash type injury, where the head is flung around and it can cause you to become unconscious, unfortunately.
But then to ban the guy for 4 games and bring him back in his first game back against Cardiff.
Yeah, but how do you ban him for 4 when you said it isn't the head?
Yeah.
When you banned him for 3 when it was the head, which probably should have been longer.
Doesn't make sense.
No, there's no consistency there. Whatever he did make contact with on Convoy, the fact is he injured him and it was reckless.
But there's no mention of a blindside either in the statement from Anson either, is there?
No.
And
it's as blindside as it can be.
When you look at the hit from Keith, okay, does it, whatever kind of
hopefully we'll have a clip of this, by the way. Hopefully.
Yeah. Whatever you kind of say in terms of sort of minor points on it. If you compare that with the kind of hits that are trying to be, they're trying to take out of the game, that is a classic example of that, isn't it? When you just look at it, that is the kind of hit you go, that is not what we want to see in hockey.
From a refereeing point of view, it was handled badly on the night as well. I mean, it was in front of a linesman. He didn't call anything.
No.
Play continued.
We got 15 to 20 seconds where play continued with the guy unconscious on the ice.
Yeah, in danger and conscious on the ice, which was ridiculous. I know I got a bit cross about it. I think.
We were all screaming.
Yeah.
The thing is,
there was no arm. There was no delayed penalty.
No.
There was nothing.
We talked about this in our very first show, didn't we? We talked about the importance of the refs are definitely, without any doubt, needing to have a far more in-depth training process, far more support and things like that. And we've got another example here. Most of the time it's affecting a result, and something like that, which is bad, but it's not the end of the world. But when it starts affecting a player's potential, injury like that, potentially those key moments straight after an injury that could affect, their recovery and things like that.
Face down
surely
on the ice, unconscious.
Something has got to start to be taken a bit more seriously. This isn't a personal thing against Michael Hicks, who was the referee on the night, at all, because these guys, like we've said before, they're working in the week. They're almost doing hockey fans a favour by going through that and being the refs on the weekend, as much as it might not feel like it.
Yeah.
But you've got a professional league, supposedly, and yet we're not willing to invest peanuts at the end of the day relative to the amount of money made on the weekend to improve the refereeing standard and to support and get better support there. We've got a guy lying unconscious on the ice for 20 seconds before the whistle is blown.
To be fair,
maybe
longer.
longer.
It was a long period of time.
It was a long period of time, and surely something's got to be done.
Exactly.
And that's not a personal thing; it's the referee
No,
in question. It's
you've hit
just
the nail on
something
the head.
overall to support what's there and to make the whole product professional. Because it doesn't matter what happens in terms of off ice for these clubs, and some clubs are getting it right. Very very right. Some clubs are working towards that. Doesn't matter what happens on ice, whatever caliber of play you bring in. If you've got elements of that thing, that whole body, that are not professional and not treated on an equal basis to everything else, it undermines the whole thing. That's what I think anyway.
Oh, I agree completely. I think you hit the nail on the
Where's
head.
my high horse?
Should we move on from there? Yeah, for now. Yeah.
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 Well, I don't know.
Clocking
We
up
can
the
carry on
time.
for a while, yeah.
Yeah, we are racking up. We are racking up the time.
So, on to the Blaze games last weekend. I was shocked. Personally, I've seen Blaze teams come in and annihilate us before. And then, well,
to be honest, in a funny sort of way, those games, not the annihilation, but the kind of atmosphere you used to have in Blaze Devils games. I think Coventry fans would say the same thing probably as well. They used to be unbelievable. This has been a Blaze game 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But like they used to be unbelievable occasions, didn't they? Like it really felt like a big game atmosphere every time.
Yeah.
I remember leaving a Blaze game with my hands sore. It was like I can't clap anymore.
I hate those guys, but you were like, yes, I'm glad I hate them.
This weekend was more like, what are those guys doing?
Who are they?
Who are they?
They're doing no.
Do they care?
A lot, not all of them, I'd have to say.
No.
The younger British guys.
Yeah.
Tanaka, Jinan.
Jinan was immense.
All guys who
Immense.
looked like they were trying.
Exactly.
I was in Coventry, and they gave the crowd nothing to feed off.
No.
There was I saw it being discussed afterwards by Blaze fans. It's something we've discussed. Do they try and raise the fans, or do they try and raise the team, or should the team be doing something that raises the fans so that they get involved?
Yeah.
I think it has to be both.
Yeah.
But there was nothing to feed off for the Coventry fans.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's so many similarities between the Blaze and the Devils, and they've had obviously a lot of success more recently than the Devils. And I think for the Devils fans, obviously there was massive success, but it's been a long time. Whereas for the Blaze fans, they're going through this, but it's still sort of fairly fresh. So there's a club there that's been established in Coventry off the back of success. A bit like with Sheffield as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So since they moved to Coventry, it's been success, and then it goes. So it is an interesting one for their fan base to deal with. It's a little easier for the Devils fans to sort of deal with that scenario of do we keep going, because we're kind of used to keeping going through near misses or whatever.
So close. But to me, I mean, I know they're short players. I didn't see Saturday away, unfortunately. I was there Sunday. They just didn't look bothered. They didn't.
No.
A couple of the younger guys seemed to really care. But a few of the sort of what I thought were going to be the higher quality imports, and it was basically the Heinrich brothers. They just didn't.
Well,
they didn't look like they cared.
Adam Henrik was. I was
Yeah.
on commentary for that game, and it became. You kind of watch it in a different way. You do watch, obviously, rather than in the stands, you watch the opposition equally to your own team, and that you can see the class of the guy, but he was just useless.
He was coasting.
There was the amount of turnovers he gave away. As soon as he had the puck, I'd be interested to see his stats for the amount of turnovers or just nothing plays. 3 bad penalties, 2 at least led to goals, I think, as well, from memory. And he's one of their big guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, and you've got sort of other players there. I think Harvey obviously let him down big time with that.
He let his team down.
And I wasn't sure whether they'd come in with a game plan to sort of just hit on the counter, soak up pressure because they were short defensively. And I do think that's more difficult to deal with when you're short on quality defensively than offense. But we'll never know really because Harvey got chucked out and then they were even worse off. But you were expecting something, and nothing came, did it?
That's the question. Is there anything there? There's more problems than just short benched. There's definitely more problems than that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, has Matt Soderstrom got the?
But what did they beat Belfast by at the Odyssey fairly recently?
That's the point, yeah.
Something's not working at the moment. It's not just injuries, and of course partly we played a lot better.
We did.
Maybe better than they expect. Maybe the game plan they had, and we came out and played a completely different way to the way we've been playing recently.
True.
We haven't played like that really since pre-season. No. All of a sudden, our forecheck is trying. Yeah. There's 2 guys going up, so there's a guy they're working the netminder over rather than one guy trying to. You watch the NHL highlights, and how often do you see one guy trying to beat the netminder. Not very often.
Yeah.
Most goals in the NHL are scored by two guys. I know it might be the same guy who carries the puck all the way down and scores. That's because the netminder doesn't know which one of them is going to receive the puck to shoot.
Very true.
And earlier in the season, I just got the impression we just one guy all the time. Now we seem to be trying with. It seems to be working better. There's two guys trying. You got to move the netminders around. The netminders in this league are not bad standard.
No,
they're not bad standard at all. You only have to look at Lacoste and know that.
He was very good, actually, wasn't he? On
Zacharias.
the weekend, Zacharias, and could have been a lot more.
Well, yeah, it could have been. It could have been a lot more. To be in Coventry, I felt sorry for the fans. It's not something I would expect to say very often, but I did because they lost that game in the first period.
Yeah,
they were annihilated in the first period. Devils took their foot off the gas a little bit. In fact, I think they lost focus a little bit, but they got back on it, and the intensity level went back up, and that really was it then.
So Jadis is the answer.
Juicer, yeah, you bring Juice back.
What is the question?
I like juicing.
Well, the only good,
I do that.
the only good thing about it is he's had a good rest. He spent some time strawberry picking.
Sorry.
He spent some time strawberry picking in Italy.
Yeah.
So he's had a good rest, and then he's had a bit of a rest. Was it Tulsa? Oh, you went? Was it?
A bit of a rest somewhere
He's
else.
had a bit of a rest there as well, and so he's coming in fresh.
Yeah.
He likes a bit of cheek, so he won't be offended.
Someone said on the forum, if he's the answer, what is the question?
Yeah.
And I think the question really is, who needs a job? Who can I afford? And I think he's the guy.
No, that's not the question.
No?
No, the question is who does Darnell hate the most?
And they've got him first game. He's back.
So they have. They brought Juicer back, and he's going to meet up with Tom in the first game, and he said that Tom was useless, shouldn't be reffing anywhere, and that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think.
Enjoy that game.
I assume that he probably won't wear his own jersey, perhaps.
No.
But one thing I do have to say is a big up to Selby.
I was just
Yeah, sorry.
No, you do it. I'd like to hear what you've got to say.
He looked like he cared.
Yeah, he did look like he cared. Well, the young British guys in their team, like Venus and that, they did look like they cared. They were trying. I think they were just fed up with the other guys who weren't trying.
Yeah.
I said recently about the Henriks that I didn't think they were fit. They didn't look interested, and they're getting worse.
Yeah.
They're not getting better. Like the one guy is definitely getting fat now. I'm not beating around the bush.
I can't comment on
He
that.
definitely needs to get on it.
Yeah.
Train, work harder.
Fair play. Like I mean, like that fight was right in front of me there from the and that was awesome. Those two guys, Quiney as well.
It was a good fight. It was quite even too, really, considering how big Quiney is compared to Selby. I thought Selby did well.
I thought he did really well, and I thought fair play to Quiney as well. And it was a good code fight, wasn't it? Overall, I thought, and really good. And from a Devils perspective, I mean, like Quiney getting a chance to go out, I think it was a little bit of a warm up perhaps for the next Belfast fixture, possibly.
Well, we did suggest it, I think, in one of our first programmes that maybe we should use Quiney for impact.
Well, that was. I'm sorry, the linesman. That's a big bugbear of mine. This.
Or
the
jumping
linesman
in too early.
is too quick to get involved in this league.
Well, yeah.
So I'm sorry because we saw it later in the game as well. They got involved, and that needed to go there. That had to happen there because it's gonna you just get more injuries. That's why fighting is in the game, and it's a big talking point this week actually with the John Scott thing as well. And I think Murph's done a thing on it, isn't he?
Has he?
Murph on Ice. Yeah, he's done a piece on it this week.
Is it on his blog? Or
I think so. Yeah, I'll have to.
There's a link to it off Inferno TV. I've linked it anyway.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, well done, Skip. Yeah, because it is interesting. But I mean, that had to go because it would have just at least, and we did see a couple of incidents after it, didn't we, where things could have got a bit nasty or whatever, and
Like Quiney against Keith, I don't know how well Roots would have done against Keith because Keith is a capable fighter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's no doubt that guy can fight above his weight, really.
Oh yeah.
But it would have been nice if someone had punched him after that hit.
Well, it would have been even if Roop had given him a cuddle and fallen on him, I would have been quite happy to see that. But for me personally, it was just great to see that someone went out there.
Oh yeah.
Let's not ignore it. And one thing I missed off the Keith hit is the Tate Voth incident that happened those years ago.
No, don't talk about it.
Go on. You started. Go on.
Yeah, well, it was, it's another thing like that. Brad got a big ban off it. How big would the ban have been if Conboy had done that to Keith? I don't know.
I think 15 games.
Yeah, make your own mind up. That's all I'm talking about. I'm talking about is consistency.
Yeah.
Brad catches Tate on the chin, I think, with his shoulder, knocks him out. Terrible, and he's been vilified for it ever since by certain elements of the crowd. the various fans.
Yeah.
The Keith appeared to be getting defended quite heavily by an awful lot of their fans. Much as we may have done, for certain things, but the fact is, it was a terrible hit.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't disciplined correctly in the end, and it's something that's going to need to be looked at, because if he's going to be allowed to injure players throughout the season,
Well, it's the consistency. It's not just the consistency in the in the bans. It's the consistency in how players are viewed, and without a doubt, certain players are viewed differently to other players. It's almost regardless of the actions, isn't it? Like as you said, Voth had done that, Comboy had done that, Nickerson, who will become on to people, players with that rep, Derek Campbell, people like that with that rep.
Teflon.
Teflon.
It's a non-stick coating.
Yeah, this was being discussed on Twitter this week, actually. People were sort of saying, is it the feeling amongst us fans that certain players will get lesser penalties or will get bigger things because of their reputation?
Well, you can predict it.
Yeah.
So I think everybody seeing that thought, Keith, whatever we thought looking at it, we thought Keith's probably going to get less games than he deserves there.
But if the hit had been the other way round, Comboy would have gone down for a long time. Yeah.
Well, 6-12 was my expectation.
Yeah.
He didn't get that. I think that was what he deserved for 2 hits injuring players in 2 months.
Well, yeah, I messaged you just after the hit and said, should I remove Keith from my fantasy team? Is he going to get 6 or 12? Yeah.
But that's the interesting thing, though, of course, is that, the penalty that was called, it's been described as a charging penalty, isn't it? So there is no cumulative effect because it's
a different penalty.
It's a different penalty.
Well,
So every way...
Was that a careful decision? I don't know, but apparently as he went past, he said to Comboy, that'll be 50 pence. That's where the charging comes up. So,
Anyway,
very briefly, wrapping up, going into this weekend.
Yeah, well...
The coaching change.
Changes.
I was going to tie the two together.
Oh, go on then.
Yeah. All I was going to say is with the coaching changes, we've already seen things happen. How do we think that's going, and how do we think we're going to progress into the Fife game this weekend?
I was massively sceptical about having 2 guys on the bench calling. I really was. And then last weekend on Sunday, I thought it really worked, as it did on Thursday. I mean, it seems like Brent's sort of controlling the D.
Yeah. Definitely.
G's sort of running the forwards. It seems to work really well.
And they have a different approach there as well.
They do.
Without a
They
doubt,
do.
Brent is more vocal and sort of
Very vocal, in
cheerleadery.
fact,
Without a doubt, he's the one who sent Quiney out as well for that fight with Selby as well, and that's what it certainly looked like.
That's what it looked like from where we were all sitting.
And props to him for it.
And things like that. So they've got a different dynamic, the two of them, and I think without any question, G being able to sit back, you can see actually when he talks about it in his interviews, he does seem pretty happy with that chance to actually coach to his full potential in game, because that's the thing. You can do all you want before, but in professional sport, it's those like everyone's it's those top 2 inches, isn't it?
Yeah.
However well prepared you are, that ability to make those in-game decisions, it's the fine points between winning and losing.
Things on the
and
fly.
he could do it.
I mean, if that change is going to give us results like we've seen in the last 3 games, a narrow loss to a team that whipped us, and then 2 victories against a team that we've
always been tight with.
Happy with that.
Taking that into the Fife game.
Taking it into the
Oh
Fife
yeah,
game.
sorry, yeah, we were going to.
No, that's all right. No, but taking it into the Fife game, Skip, I think you wrote. Did you write the?
I write the Inferno game previews.
Yeah, you wrote the game preview.
Well,
so you can tell us all about every single player on their roster now,
down
with all
to,
your amazing research.
Down to a definite detail.
Backup goalie.
I know 3 or
what
4
sort of
of
games
the
he
names.
gonna?
He's going to be good. He's going to do the door from that angle.
Yeah.
Open
Well,
and
Regan's
close.
not a bad lad. I don't think he's been getting the best cover from his team.
I think the main point I picked up was Fife is struggling for goals. Yeah, they really are. They've talked about it. They're drilling scoring.
Yeah.
They've got their new guy in whose name I keep forgetting.
But yes, the guy with an unusual name,
Who's done it again?
Pagic or something like that.
Talking about a player.
Rock Pagic, yeah.
Yeah.
Rock's the easy bit to remember.
6 games, 5 goals. He looks like
He looks quality.
Proper danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Chamont's always a danger.
Yeah, they got the show.
But then he's only on 9 points for the season.
Yeah, the show. But the show always puts
Is that
up.
what you call him, or is that
Yeah.
what he calls himself?
No, that's
If he calls himself the show, we can't be nice about it.
No, that's his nickname by other
fine,
people.
okay, great.
But Bob, I
heard he calls himself that.
I call him Bob because his mum calls him Bob when she's annoyed with him. So whenever I see him, not Bobby, I call him Bob. We used to shout Bob from the stand, because apparently if we shouted Bob, it would sort of energise him. Because it would remind him that he'd obviously done something wrong. Bob! So,
but it's going into that game though, they've got a tough game the night before. They're in Sheffield. I think they're a nice Sheffield, aren't they?
Yeah, it will be a tough game, that.
The little
Because
ring where
Sheffield
they're gonna
are a team on the up, as we said
They
before.
are, yeah.
They really are on the up. They're now starting to look the real deal.
Yeah, that Sirianni guy is disturbing.
He's not going to be around for long in this league, is he? If he
well,
keeps
not if
going
he can't,
like that.
he's
Surely not even the Steelers have got enough money to keep a player of that calibre.
He's doing better than I said he was going to before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Better than you said.
he may not come to us, with a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Not very likely.
No.
They
Well, he'd come to us because he loves the city.
So yeah, they've got you never know, it happens.
you don't.
But so they've got a tough game the night before. Devils have got the night off.
Yeah, I think going into it, we would expect maybe to have a slight upper hand.
Yep.
They maybe haven't been getting all the results they wanted lately.
Nope.
I think it might be a fairly tight game because they do tend to be with Fife. You tend to find that their netminder always performs really well. They generally are a team willing to stand up, even though young British guys are always willing to stand up.
Yep.
They've got some quality in that team as well. They've got a couple of really good guys coaching.
I think even a week, before that Belfast game, I would have said, potentially we could even lose it the way things are going. But I think after those games, as long as the Devils keep our focus and don't do the old it's Fife or whoever or Hull or whoever. Let's avoid any checks. Let's just coast.
If the prep is sat in the dressing room singing we're going to win for 4 hours,
I think
we're in trouble. Yeah.
But I think if we approach it in the right way, I'm quite confident we'll win fairly well, to be honest. Now, after the recent performances, it's just whether we do the classic Devils thing and sort of
do we want to go
faff around for it.
Should we do that? And then one of us has to wear a dunce cap next week who gets the most wrong?
5-2 Devils.
Ooh. 4-2 Devils.
6-2 Devils.
Yeah.
So
bold.
We'll get a dunce cap for next week, and one of us will have it on.
I have to say, one thing I do have to say is that I can't wait to see Nickerson.
I know.
I've no idea what the guy's like, but he's an absolute legend.
Hulk,
He's stronger than the Hulk.
You've got to wonder because obviously last time he took a couple of game penalty. He took a couple of games back.
Yeah, he's taking.
Are we going to see our first fight off the face-off in this one just to clear that one up, or
could be? Cause,
I am going to suit up before the game.
You are?
Yeah, it's just I want to compare beards.
Yeah,
that's all.
I'm afraid I wouldn't even turn up for that one. I think you're going to lose.
Oh.
As nice as your beard is,
I understand Nickerson's beard is fairly wild.
Totally different class.
Has he got a proper mountain man beard?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And apparently he does. From what I understand, he does not speak. Everything's done through the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So do you think is there going to be a
sort
of quick early fight in that game?
I don't know.
Sort that situation
I think that the way he treated Lord, he got banned for it, and it was pretty nasty, wasn't it?
There's got to be something, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be something happened there. Surely.
Maybe just
because that's exactly the kind of thing that we let go last year and ended up being injured all over the place with our top player getting taken out, and stuff like that.
What team was he taken out by? Can you just remind me?
I can't remember who it was.
The Giants.
I'm sure they didn't.
It couldn't have been the Giants.
I'm sure he didn't mean it though.
And the player the previous year that got injured by the Giants again.
No.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
No, they had a very clean team. I've read their forum. They do not do anything wrong.
My tea is broken. Can we stop now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. We're using a timing system. It's a cup of tea, and mine's dead.
Yeah. We're not doing the sock feature this week.
Yeah, we are. Get them out.
No, because
come on.
I haven't got anything good on. I dropped my laptop on my foot prior to coming here tonight.
Get your socks out for the lads.
I've got I've got cool.
We don't want to see. I don't want to see the pants.
I've got cool underwear.
Good. Glad to hear that. Thanks to everybody.
Do you know what? If the lights went off here, all I'll say is we wouldn't need them on.
If we weren't loud enough, and if we were too funny or not funny enough, or whatever.
I don't think we definitely weren't too funny.
No, we weren't. No. Matchlight live coverage, both games. Well, the game this weekend, Sunday. Enjoy.
The programme today was sponsored by Brett. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
Cheers, guys.